Hey, this is Jackie Chin, and we're here with another awesome indie film director, producer, writer, editor, etc., with a horror film that is still in production and still has an Indiegogo and all of that kind of fun stuff. And it is brought to me by CJ Vecchio, who was on last week and has a film called The Evil Three, which everybody, and I do mean everybody, needs to see. So we have today with us Steve Merlo. Steve, welcome to Zombiepalooza Radio Live, and let's get into it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for making your mark. Thanks for making this film.
No problem.
All the cool stuff. So, for those of us who do not know who you are and what you do, give us a little background.
Sure. I'm Steve Merlo. I've been a musician for too long to even name. And did professional music for quite a long time. And then when I was in my early 30s, I was always kind of writing short stories throughout my 20s and so on. So, in my 30s, I thought, boy, it'd be kind of cool to write movies, to write screenplays, and so just kind of started from there, writing screenplays, and eventually I got talked into directing one of them. And then I got the bug for it, I guess you could say. I got the bug for filmmaking, and for the last 10 years or so I've been making indie films at various low level budgets, but having a lot of fun doing it, and I think that's what it's all about, is having fun.
Absolutely having fun. And it is a way too to be able to help with mental stress.
Oh yeah, for
Give
sure.
us a little bit about that and what you have found in ways where film has helped you with stress.
Definitely the writing process is definitely a huge part when trying to get rid of stress. It's I've been pretty lucky that I haven't lived the most stressful life. I think the most stress I ever had was when I was a cook in a restaurant. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's something therapeutic about writing, and then there's working with good people. It's working with people that are very creative minds, just like yourself. Being around those types of creative people is awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
So, boy, there was a lot of things that we covered this afternoon, but I want to get something right up front that came kind of like toward the middle of our pre-interview. Your first camera, where'd it come from?
My first camera was my wife's camera, and we were in the process of becoming filmmakers, and she's like, well, we need a camera. She bought this Canon T3i. I think she bought it from London Drugs. I'm not sure. I think it was London Drugs. You guys have London Drugs in Ohio? Or is that just a Canadian? I'm Canadian, so
Might
if you
be a
guys don't have,
Canadian thing.
might be. If you don't have London Drugs, that's where she bought it from. A Canon T3i. I think at the time it's about a $700 camera, somewhere in there. Pretty low end camera, but we made our first couple short films with it, and yeah, it did okay. I never really learned to use it myself. I tried a few times, but I am not a techie person.
She's not a camera guy, even though
Not a camera
during the
guy.
course of the interview this afternoon, I kept trying to put a camera in his hand. He's like, I'm not a camera guy.
Yeah, I'm not a camera guy. I've never been. I trust the people I work with to do their job.
Absolutely. So you are, though, a writer and a director and a producer, and you're also a composer. You make music.
That is correct. Yeah.
So there are a lot of decisions that you have to make when you take up the idea of putting a film together from seed to post production. After, as you say, about 10 years of experience that you've had so far, you know already what it's like to get into putting a film together. There are times when things can go very, very smoothly. And then there are other times where you go and you're like, you hit a wall. What do you do when you get to a point where you don't know what to do next?
You have to stop. Sometimes you just have to stop and give your mind some time to rest, because there's a lot of things happening at once when you're making a film, and a lot of things don't go according to plan. A lot of times you have stuff in your script that doesn't work with what you got, so you just need to take some time and let your brain rest, and then it's amazing what your brain will just kind of think of when you're resting. It's just you won't plan on trying to solve the problem, but it's like it's automatic almost. So it sucks when that happens when you're right in the middle of filming. But again, taking a break, just sometimes you can work out those problems, and then also, if you can't work them out yourself, get suggestions from your crew, even your cast. Get suggestions from them if something's not working. It's likely there's enough creative people there that you will get the answers that you're looking for.
Absolutely. So it's really important for you to be able to have a good sound screenplay and a good sound crew and a cast. What goes into your screenplay thought? How do you go about putting something together, getting the ideas put in a cohesive pattern so that we can enjoy something like Unseen?
It's a detailed process. That it's probably the area that I take the most time with, because it's got to be as good as possible. And sometimes you don't see stuff the first time around when you write them, that other people will see and be like, "Oh, that doesn't work." So I mean, I always consult with a lot of people on my screenplays. I have a good group of people I can trust, that will always give me the feedback that I want to hear.
So when
So I
so
always rely on that.
it is, I take the Henry Ford principle of putting something together. I have the idea. I'm pretty sure I've got the right kinds of people to do it. They're expert in their field, or they're really, really good at what they're doing so far. I'm going to trust that what I brought together and what is coming together from other sources is going to be exactly what we need for putting the project together.
You more or less. I mean, it's not always exactly. I mean, sometimes you hear suggestions for your screenplay you don't quite agree with, because at the end of the day, it's your vision,
Right. And
and they do. And
what do you do when somebody comes and says, hey, I'm thinking that maybe this character or this particular set should look like this or sound like this? What do you do when you look at it and you're like, you really don't want to tell them flat out no? How do you go about constructively doing that with still keeping in mind your vision for what you want to do?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's just really taking it into account, and just seeing if there's a very clear point on why that person would want that certain change to the script or whatever. It's you have to be open minded, but at the end of the day, uh, 9 times out of 10, when I hear an idea that comes to me that I'm not too keen on, 9 times out of 10 that idea won't come to fruition. But at the same time, I always give it my full attention, my full thought. And sometimes, here's another thing, sometimes a not an idea that you don't care for can spark another idea that works even better, because they're close, they're tied, they're related in some sort of way. And I have had that happen many times where I didn't like the idea exactly, but it made me think of this, and hey, let's do this instead. And it was great, and it wouldn't have happened had I not gotten that idea, that
Right.
been given that feedback.
Perspective is everything. What does that mean to
Very
you?
much. Oh, I mean, everything's about perspective. I mean, because everybody's perspective is going to be different, you know. I mean, and that's the great thing about art, is everyone's going to have a different perspective on it. You know, I can tell you that I feel like I've yet to create something that came out exactly as I envisioned it to
Mm-hmm.
be. But at the same time, I'm proud of every piece of work I've put out. Some more than others,
How many
and
pieces? How many pieces have you put out?
a lot of short films. I mean, some of them actually still haven't been released.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, a good handful of short films. I do have one other feature that I've never released as well. It has a lot of technical problems, but again, even that one, I mean, it has a lot of technical problems, but there's still something really good there. I hope that I can somehow fix the technical problem so I can release it to the world one day. But
It's
uh,
difficult. It's difficult when you have something and you're like, man, it's so close.
yeah,
And then, but yet there's this thing, and I can't figure out how to do what it needs to do to be able to make it look the way it needs to look. And you always, like, if you're working with people, you want to be able to represent them in the best light. You want them to be able to have their particular expression be as fulfilled as it possibly can, because I mean, why else do the thing if you're not going to do it to the best of your ability? And that's part of the stress when it comes to trying to put a project together, because if you're at the top of the food chain, you're the one that they're going to go to. And it is really, really important to be able to have the ability to psychologically work around all of these different kinds of elements, because so many people are going to be coming from so many different places because of perspective.
exactly. Yeah, I totally agree.
So you write with a psychological bent when it comes to your film Unseen.
Oh yeah, it's very psychological. A lot of people would probably think I'm a pretty dark person, but I'm really not. I'm really not. I just like dark stuff for for whatever reason. Fascinates me.
I enjoy being able to see the inside of the mind of someone who enjoys creating psychological horror thrillers. I'm
Awesome.
going to put up, let's talk a little bit about some of your cast.
Okay. Well, Felissa Rose pretty much needs no introduction. She's playing Ashley in the movie. She's obviously famous for movies like Sleepaway Camp.
Mm-hmm.
She was in Terrifier 2, countless other films. So I mean, she's been around for quite a while. But we're introducing Trinity Chase as our lead character, Crystal. This is her first film, and you know, she was kind of a diamond in the rough, I guess you would say, because we took in a lot of auditions when we were casting this movie, and you know, at a certain point, I just said I don't want to look at their resumes to see what kind of past experience they've done, because I might be biased on that, and so I didn't. And then we ended up casting her in the lead role, and then after that, she tells me I've never been in a movie before, you know. So it was a big surprise, but you know, it was a thorough casting. I mean, we cast it with our producers as well, and everybody was pretty decisive that she was the lead character. And then Brett Wagner's a great guy. You probably know him. He's as he was in the Crazies. He was Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel, or not prequel, the remake from 2003 for
Mm-hmm.
just the very first kill in the film. But he's pretty famous for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that you said you didn't look at resumes. You're one of the very first people that has taken that particular approach. And given the fact that she had never been in a film before, what was that like for you when there was a full roundabout saying, yeah, this is the one?
It definitely let me know that I had the right person. I mean, we were all very. There was a couple other actors that were kind of close to where she was, but all of us were pretty certain that she just had it down, had down exactly what we needed for this character, including myself. And of course, it's my vision for the character. I wrote the character. I know who this character is better than anyone else. So it was very reassuring for the rest of the producers to say to me, yeah, she really is the one. She's the one you want. And none of us even realized that she had no experience, so that meant a lot. It really meant a lot.
So I want to talk to those of you out there that are watching this show and wanting to be able to get into film. You don't have to have a ton of experience in doing multiple films. But if you have the drive, if you have a keen sense of direction, and you can follow the script along with being able to help build the character with the writer, producer, director, then yeah, you can do the thing. So do the
Definitely.
thing, right? Get in there and just absolutely do the thing.
Send out auditions. You're not going to get any parts if you don't audition for them. I'll tell you that much.
Right, right. All right. So we didn't talk earlier about how you do character development and what it was like for you when these persons started coming to you and saying, this is my story. How are you going to tell it?
Interesting. When it comes to character development, I always think about the story first and how this character is going to tie into the story. So like whatever traits they have, there's got to be a reason for those traits. Whatever is going on with this person, how does it relate to the overall story? So that always kind of comes, as I'm writing, I guess you would say. I start to know who these characters are, and I start to feel how they are relevant to the overall story and what's going on in the film. It's something that sometimes I'll miss the mark a little bit the first time writing a screenplay, and then when I'm going back to doing rewrites, I'll be questioning certain things, and I'll say, okay, this is going to help with this person's character development, whoever it is.
What
If I
happens
do
if a
it,
character says, there's no way I'm going to do that, or I'm not fleshed out enough to do that, or stops talking altogether? Have you ever had that in like any of your film work where you're working on a storyline and you think you've got a good handle on what's going on, and then all of a sudden the character stops?
the character stop. I mean, it depends on the story. Sometimes characters have an end point. And sometimes you don't realize that is where their endpoint is. I can say that in this film, there are characters that have an endpoint that you wouldn't think have an endpoint where they end, but they do. And you just have to know your story that you're wanting to tell. I think that's always kind of the most important thing. What is the message you're trying to get across? And I think the more you know your message, the more you know your story and your plot, the easier the characters can be to write. And knowing where they start and where they finish. Do they have an arc? Do they? Because not all characters are going to have arcs.
Right.
That's a guarantee. And not every character is going to be fully fleshed out. Sometimes characters are there for more reasons than just, being fleshed out characters. Sometimes they're there for a good reason, but they're not fleshed out for a reason too. They don't need to necessarily be fleshed out, yeah, and I think, I've done that in my past work quite a lot. And it's something I always kind of work on, to find the right balance, because not every character is going to be fleshed out. Though I think you will always want them to be. You always want every character to be fleshed out, but it can't happen.
Right. It can happen, and sometimes they'll just like look at you and go, "This is just there's nothing else," and that's it.
Yeah.
So this story came to you in a dream. Dreams are very psychological. A lot of times, dreams can tell someone who studies psychology about what's going on in the inside chambers of a mind. So when you first came about unseen, what was going on in your life?
Lots of good things were going on in my life. I was just about to get married. The love of my life, and we're still together. Surprisingly, she's still with me. It's been a few years too. We're about to celebrate 7 years. So we were just about to get married. A lot of good things happening in my life. It's just one of those things. I think that when good stuff is happening in your life, you're afraid of it getting taken away from you.
Yes.
So I think there was probably, unbeknownst to me at the time, that sort of thing happening in my mind, and created, some interesting dreams, I guess you would say. And from some of the dreams I've had, this story was born, I guess you would say. Because
did you wake up and feverishly take notes, or did you talk into a machine, or did you get to your computer and start
I went right to my computer,
pounding out on the keys?
I went right to my computer. I used to be old school, and I used to write everything down, but now it's like computer. But had it been like 2 years before that, I probably just would have written stuff down. But yeah, I went right to the computer and just wrote my ideas for the movie. We made a short film version of this movie first. That actually did win a few awards at festivals and stuff like that. But I knew I wanted to do a bigger story with this that we couldn't really tell in a 12-minute film. So, I began working on the feature-length version not long after we finished making the short. And very, very it was a long process, but very glad we've come as far as we've come.
So you also write music, and I had asked you earlier what came first, the music or the words?
When I write songs, it's always the music. So when I write songs, when it comes to writing movies, I'm always writing the words. I'm writing the dialogue and the actions and everything. But I think I always have a bit of a melody in my head, and some sort of atmospheric thing in my head when I'm writing a scene. I can hear the score already when I'm writing it. And I think that helps me as a composer when I get to that point, that I've already kind of know exactly what I'm going for.
Because
it's just a matter of
the music very often is an extra character within the script itself, especially if you're the one that is kind of like driving the whole thing.
Yes.
It's kind of rare to have someone who has knowledge base about writing music along with writing the words to whatever the script is going to be. And so you, from what I found out earlier, are extremely visual. Music also has color to it very often. And so I noticed within some of the shots that you did that there are particular colors that you lean more towards. Was that done on purpose, or was this something that was fleshed out as you went along?
I mean, it's done on purpose to a point. I didn't color the teaser trailer, but I gave notes to the colorist of what I'm looking for, and I give some example types of shots from other works out there. Like I like something that kind of this leaning this tone, a little bit of a warm tone here, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, you always have something in mind. I think it's something I need to actually be able to be better at. Actually, it's I'm not, like I said, I'm not a colorist, and I'm not going to try to ever be a colorist. And I want to stay in my own, stay where my
It's a
strengths
very
are.
specialized skill.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you have to be good.
Very specialized skill.
And I think a lot of editors think that they can be colorists too, and a lot of times you'll get editors coloring the movie.
Are we
And
getting into some gritty grit right now?
no, I mean it's just
because this is something that a few others that have been on the show have spoken about.
Oh, really?
When you get into designing how the piece is going to look and how it's going to be presented to an audience, there are times when people decide it doesn't look that difficult, it can't be that hard, and so let me dabble and move in and then they end up getting into something where they should have gone out of their lane over to the other lane to say, hey, you know how to do this, can you work with me? Being able to know when you are really good at something and then not good or only sort of good at something else and asking for help.
Oh yeah, that's important. Know your strengths. I mean, don't try to do what you don't. I mean, you can try to do something you're not so good at, but why do that if there's somebody that's better at it than you? Why produce a lackluster piece of work if you know it can be stellar with the right people involved? So I mean, it's good to try to wear some hats. I try to wear as many hats as I can, but I've also learned that I'm not good at certain hats. So yeah, it's about knowing your strengths, and I think you have to have a really good team assembled that's going to be real with you.
Yeah, because we talked a little earlier about if you've got a lot of people going, yeah, looks great, sounds great, wonderful, awesome, and all these yes people, because they're so passionate about wanting to be in this particular thing, they're just going to say yes to whatever it is that you have to say. That's a problem.
It can be, that's for sure. I mean, unless really everything is totally great, but
yeah, right.
In my experiences,
but then
that's
everybody's just going to look at it. But right, it's kind of unrealistic to have everything go exactly the way you need it to go. Yeah.
Exactly.
So take constructive criticism where you can, know your limits, make sure that in the people that you gather to you, that they each have some sort of skill set or know someone that can bring a skill set, so that when you get ready to be able to put the thing out, especially if you are doing like a GoFundMe or you're doing anything to be able to raise a really big amount of money to be able to put the thing out, you're going to want to have the best people you can. Speaking of the best, look who you got for this part.
That's our producer, and he's playing the lead. He's playing the antagonist, who I can kind of consider the lead in this movie, because a lot of this movie is trying to take the viewer on a journey through this character's mind, the unseen man. And Adam is a great guy. Very excited to work with him on this. He's been very hands-on so far with everything. He's one of our producers with Twitch Productions, and
Yeah, give us a
really,
little bit.
really,
Give us a little bit more meat on what excuse me, why he was designed to play this part.
designed to play this part. I mean, he understood the role uh more than anyone else that read for it. I'll say that much. I mean, I don't know if his age has anything to do with it, but he's probably experienced a lot of stuff that might be similar. Again, I don't want to speak for Adam
Right,
on
right.
any of this stuff, but but yeah, I mean, he definitely got the character a lot easier, more than a lot of the other people that had auditioned for it. It was a tough character to audition. It was a tough. I got a few auditions, and it was just it was not coming together that well. But Adam knocked it out of the park, so
What
we were very happy with him.
what were some of the telltale signs when you were going through the list of people that you had to read for this that you were not getting, but that you knew eventually you would?
I mean, there's a number of things. It's a lot of its tonality. It's a lot of its emotion, and I don't know if maybe certain people just don't get particular emotions, and have experienced enough to convey these sort of emotions that this character has to convey throughout the emotion throughout the film, because you have to learn what you can through his emotions in this movie. That's one thing about this character. It's very unseen, as you know. So you have to learn as much as you can just from the way he delivers certain
It's
things.
very
Certain,
difficult to
yeah,
play something like this when
very
there
difficult.
isn't the out front actions or uh, ability to be able to see that they're working up towards something. It takes skill. It also takes patience, and it takes a certain, I think, mindset to be able to get into that kind of a character. Not that someone younger could not do that, because there are plenty of young people that have been in other films that can do this. But with him, when they watch this film, once it's fully produced, the audience is going to also feel some relatability. Talk about relatability when it comes to psychological horror films, and why that can drag the audience into your mindset.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody's had something dark to them happen to them throughout their lives. I doubt that I'll ever encounter somebody that's just lived a very, very happy life with nothing ever even the slightest bit traumatic happen. So I think that's the big thing we have to touch on in this movie, is that everybody has had those moments where something bad has happened to them and something tragic has happened, and we want to try to tap into whatever emotions those people were feeling uh, when they were in that moment. This will really affect anybody who's ever been close to the edge, close to their breaking point. If you've seen that bad part of you that could possibly be violent, or you know, um, then this should affect you. It should affect you if you're somebody who was a victim of violence. It's there's so many elements in this film on a psychological level that I think are going to affect pretty much anybody that watches it. Just I think certain people will be affected differently, but I think everybody would be affected by a movie like this to a point.
How did this affect you after you got, say, about midway into it and you were able to watch some of the raw footage? How did it affect you?
Oh, like when we made the short film.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, it it affects me a little differently, I guess, because I wrote it. But you know, it's hard because I think I just get too attached to my own work, you know, and I start seeing the flaws in things too easily. But I
That's the
definitely
human part of it. There's a
it is the
very
human
human
part.
aspect of
I'm
that.
very hard on myself. When we did the short, I actually played the antagonist, and I still feel like I was awful. I feel like I did a
Apparently,
terrible job.
people didn't think you were awful because
Uh,
they really
I
liked
did.
it.
I don't know. I guess people did like it was
It
like
won
it
awards,
won
didn't
some
it?
awards.
Like,
It
trust me, I've seen a lot of films since I've been doing this show since 2012.
it won
And
a few awards. It won a few awards, and that's cool and all.
yeah,
But I try not to let that be the bar. You know, it's not like it got accepted into Sundance or anything like that. You know, that would have been cool,
not
but
yet. We're working
not
on
yet.
it.
We're working on it with the new film. The
Yeah,
new film.
yeah, absolutely. So your crew is really, really important. Your DP, William,
Yes, William
talk
Amendola.
talk about him. Talk about where you encountered him to be able to be a part of Unseen, and what he brings to the table.
Man, I've been working with William for years now. Pretty much since I started making films, you know, maybe a little bit after that. And you know, he and I just kind of clicked on a certain level that you know, he kind of understood a lot of the visions I was going for. Even though I think back then I wasn't the best at putting my shot list together. I didn't know all the technical stuff for making shots, but he kind of understood still what I was going for.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, now obviously I know a lot what I'm doing, a lot more of what I'm doing, and you know, he and I can communicate even better now as far as all that goes, because he's had years of experience. He went to film school and all that kind of stuff. I never went to film school, you know. I never had the money to do something like that. So it's great having a guy like William who really understands my vision.
Very cool. You have a camera crew. You have Paul.
Yep, Paul, Marcus, and Aaron. They shot the trailer basically. William couldn't be around for shooting the trailer because he lives about 5 hours away from me. So I have a good camera crew here in Kelowna where I live, and you know, I just asked them if they'd be willing to spend a day with me and just shoot some stuff, and you know, made a shot list, and you know, I got William gave me some feedback on the shot list, and he's like, I would try to light certain things like this, and you know, because we didn't have a DP on set. So you know, so you got to try to get as much out of the DP before you start shooting.
Right, right.
And you know, I think it worked out pretty well. I think the lighting and everything actually turned out pretty well for not having a DP on set, you know.
So
So
talk about for those who do not know what a shot list is, talk a little bit about that, and of course the importance of having it and how it helps to structure a film.
for sure. Shot list is like pretty much like what it says. It's a list of shots, a shot list, and but it goes into the detail of what's happening during that shot, the type of camera movement, you know, you touch on the lighting, whether it's night or day, all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of details, you know, that go into it, whether it's a close up shot or a wide shot or a you know, a two shot tight shot, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that you and the DP are on point with each other when you start shooting this. You know, you're both looking at the shot list. Okay, tight, focus pull, rack focus from one character to the, you know, that kind of stuff.
Panning
That's
and
all on the
where
shot shit.
right, right, right. All right. So speaking of shots, these are some pretty cool shots. Look at all these people in here. Give
Wow.
give them I know, right? It's pretty impressive, but they all said yes to you. And anytime someone says yes to a project and they are invested, That is pretty cool. And so
That is.
let's talk a little bit about each one on here that we have not seen yet.
Cool. Okay, so we talked about Trinity already.
Mm-hmm.
Roland Keller, I cast him because I saw him in the My Bloody Valentine fan film of Valentine Bluffs. And he was an associate producer on my last film too, the Sawyer Massacre. And he was just a really good guy, and I got to know him. And he works with our SFX artist Thomas Smith, who was the man who made Valentine Bluffs, and it was a good combo to get both of them cast, or both utilize his SFX and utilize him in
Yes,
the cast.
absolutely.
Then Emily Mazes is the only actor that lives in the same town as me, and she was the only actor that was physically in our teaser trailer. So that's a pretty cool thing for her. She basically played 3 characters
She
in
did.
that.
I'm going to be showing that in a hot minute here, and yeah, she did a great job.
She did a great job. I'm very, very happy to work with her. Then we got Sarkis Bakalian. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. His character was a tough one to cast. Was taking a lot of auditions, and I don't want to say that I don't want to be that guy that says that the female auditions were so much better than all the male auditions, but man, oh man, I was struggling with the male actors when it came to the auditions. And when we saw his audition, it was like finally someone good, So it was great, and it was just about was he right for one character or the other. And then when Roland accepted the role that I offered him as Brady, then it made sense that that Sarkis would play Devin, because Roland is perfect for Brady. Like, he's absolutely ideal for what I was looking for the character of Brady. So Sarkis was good because he could kind of play either or.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Crystal Gorski. Crystal Gorski has been wanting to work with me. We'll just say that ever since she saw the Sawyer Massacre, and she was a fan, I guess. And so
Fabulous.
she's been pretty on me about getting her in my next film. But I said, you got to audition,
Right.
and we auditioned her, and we all liked her audition. So it was it was a no-brainer to cast her in the role of Jessica. And I'm really looking forward to working with her, because I've seen her in a few things, and she's really great. Emily Fraser is somebody I worked with in the past, with William Amendola, our DP. In the past, we worked on a 48-hour film festival together. And at the time when she was auditioning for our movie, I didn't even realize it was her. I'm like, I recognize this girl from somewhere, but I don't know where. And then I put it together, and I'm like, it's okay. This was the girl we worked with in this 48-hour film.
Awesome.
And there you go. It was great. And then, of course, Adam we've talked about. Brett we've talked about. Brett's awesome, though. I'm just gonna say that. Angel Bradford. I'll just say this: we cast her because she could do one thing very, very, very well. We'll say that.
Whoa.
Great. We had to audition pretty much all the female actresses. We had to audition with one thing specifically, and I can't talk about, because
all right, moving
I'll
on.
spoil the movie.
Who's the guy next to her?
But anyways, she did great at that, and that's why she got cast. And then we got Bill Russell. Bill was one of the first auditions we saw, and believe it or not, I think he might have been the only audition for this character of a college professor. And I kind of felt bad for him, because I spent so much time casting the lead characters that I didn't get back to him for a long time. But after we had seen his audition, we pretty much already thought, oh, he's got the role, he's perfect for this character. But I didn't get back to him for the longest time, because we spent so much time casting all the lead characters.
Did you run a risk of losing him?
I don't know if I mean, I was worried about that at the time, but he was still friends with me on social media and all that stuff. And I eventually I just kind of messaged him and let him know that he's got the part, I think. And he was like all cool by it. And I was like, sorry for the delay, but we really had to focus on casting the lead characters. So he was very cool with it. He's a good guy. I don't think I really risked losing him, but you never know. You got to be careful that way. So I was glad I messaged him when I did. And
That's yeah, yeah.
Jennifer Beveridge is another great young actress. She kind of gave me her whole life story. She's kind of been around the world and all that kind of stuff, and just gave another great audition. I don't really know a lot of these people personally,
Hmm.
but they seem like great people, and I've had the opportunity to chat with most of them over like Skype or video messenger or what have you. And they all seem like great people. I'm really looking forward to working with all of them. And of course, Felissa Rose needs no introduction. We all know who she is.
Woohoo! All right. So, a few things that you have learned about casting. Make sure that you have a list of everybody that's on the yes side. Make sure you get back to them within a timely fashion.
Try
And
to, anyways.
make sure that you get the best cast and crew you possibly can. These people, they look great.
You got to be adamant. But here's another thing I've learned about casting, and I hate to even say this, but you always lose somebody, if not a few people. I've
Yeah,
never been a
did
part of
you
it.
did you have any of that happen when you were working up to this point?
Nobody has signed on to nobody that signed on to our film at this point has left. So
Mhm.
everybody that you see on that, they were who we cast, and they have not left at this point.
Brilliant.
That could change. You know, a lot of these actors are from the U.S. and we're filming in Canada, so that you know the budget of the film could be a factor. So there's a good chance we could lose a lot of these people based on our budget. But we'll see. You know, we're gonna do the best we can to raise funds, and they're all professionals. They all know that is a possibility, that the funding is not going to be there for this movie, that like they would want it to be, to be able to fly them up to Canada. It's very, very possible, but at the same time, they're trying their best to get the word out there. Everybody in the cast has been sharing like crazy. So I really appreciate all the hard work everybody's doing, even knowing that this movie might not happen for them. For them,
Right.
it's happening no matter what.
Yeah.
But again,
Too much effort,
probably have
energy,
to react.
forward movement already into this. It is going to happen.
Oh, definitely.
Speaking of something that is going to happen, we are going to talk your Indiegogo into absolutely being the most fulfilling experience that anyone has ever had on an Indiegogo. And we also have something that is very interactive. First time for Zombiepalooza Radio Live on Tingler Television, seen Saturday night, 9 p.m. to 11. We made prime time very exciting on Roku. Let me get out of the way and yeah, check that out. Now,
Support us on Indiegogo.
Anybody that's got a smartphone, guess what you can do? You can go right up to that screen with your QR code reader and zap that and head over to their Indiegogo and make a donation.
Exactly. It's that easy these days.
Talk about what has already happened with your Indiegogo, where you're at currently, and what you would like to see happen with it.
Well, we're just only about 10 days left, I think, at this point. And we've raised, as far as I see it in Canadian dollars, so you'd have to do the US conversion for me, but we've raised just over $9,200. We've got a lot of amazing perks on the campaign. We've got autographed headshots of a lot of the cast, including Felissa Rose and Brett Wagner. They both have their autographed headshot on there. A lot of producer perks at different tiers. I like to create different tiers for associate producer and executive producers. Um, as small as getting your name in the credits as a special thanks. Blu-rays, DVDs, VHS, T-shirts, posters. So many amazing perks, and so many different ways that you can be a part of this film. And getting your name in the credits comes with every perk that goes past that level of special thanks. So no matter what, the only perk that you would get that doesn't include the special thanks is the social media shout out, but every other perk does have that. So no matter what, you would be getting your name in the credits with any of those perks.
I think it's super cool to do something like this because it's hard enough to be able to put a film together as it is, but it makes it so much easier when you are marketing this in a way where people feel like they're included and there's actually something that is happening in this inclusion. They're getting some kind of uh, really cool aspect that they might not have as an experience. And if they really like your work or they like you as a human being that is doing something creative, then yeah, it's all about it. And there are so many people out there that are willing to be able to pinch in and help that experience move along. Is there anything about this experience and putting this Indiegogo together that you were taught by someone else how to put it together? Because when I went and I looked at your Indiegogo page, I was like, that's bomb diggity. There's there's posters there. There are lineups, fabulous shots of everybody that is a part of this thing so far. It looks extremely well put together. Talk about your process of putting this Indiegogo together and why, well, why I think that this is something that a lot of other people can learn from.
Well, it's definitely not my first Indiegogo, but I'll say this: I learned from a lot of different people. I always got a lot of tips from people that were successful, and anybody who is struggling on Indiegogo, just know that it's no easy process. I think one thing I've seen too much of though is people putting up Indiegogos with nothing on them. No perk images or any graphics of any kind. I think having a good team, a graphic artist that knows what he's doing, is going to help you greatly. And I really thank my graphic artist Joe Lawrence of More Sense Designs for the amazing work he has done for me over the years with the Sawyer Massacre and now this film, because he's amazing. He's amazing, and he just loves horror. He does fantastic work. He does the branding, and he does the posters, and he basically did everything you see on the campaign. He did all the perk images. I was going to do all the perk images, and he was like, "No, I got it. Let me do them all." So he's that kind of guy. He really wants to be a part of your project. So I mean, if anybody's ever looking for a graphic artist to use for their Indiegogo, my suggestion will always be Joe Lawrence of More Sense Designs, because he's that good. There's his logo, by the way.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at the beautiful color on that.
I know, it's amazing.
Woo-hoo.
Looks like it
Right.
was designed by a graphic artist.
I know, right? It is important to be able to get people that are as at the top of their game as they possibly can be for a project as large as what yours is, to be able to have a very good cohesive um, semblance of a film. And it's not by luck that you're finding these people, because if you didn't know what you were doing, you wouldn't be having these people to be able to participate and help and push this thing forward for you. What is that like for you to know that these people are all in?
I mean, I feel very grateful. I mean, because my last film was a fan film, and it had an existing IP, and so we raised a little over $50,000 for that film, which was great. I was really super excited. It meant a lot that everybody contributed to that. But this is an original project, so you just don't know how people are gonna, think of you after going from a fan film to an original.
Right.
Some people were just supporting you because they were big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fans, whereas there is no fan base. So the fact that we have, 130 some odd backers and raised, closing in on $10,000 for an original project, I'm speechless. It's we've got some love. It definitely tells me that I must be doing something right. It tells me that that people are behind the cast, people are behind the teaser trailer that we shot for no money. By the way, we had no budget to shoot that little teaser trailer. This is what we got. This is what we got, and we worked with what we got, and I think we made a pretty cool little teaser trailer out of it.
Lighting and sound and cast and crew and a good script and a solid ability to be able to film at good locations. So we're up on locations now. What kind of locations did you have, and how did you come about being able to shoot where you did?
Well, we were kind of lucky in one regards where the camera crew they're like all roommates together, and they live in this big house, and there's a lot of cool areas in this house that they live in, and they're like, we'll just shoot all the indoor stuff here, and it looked great. I thought, I was looking at each room in the house. I'm like, okay, hey, we got this staircase is nice and long, and you had the fireplace. We did the note over the fireplace, and yeah, just a lot of great areas that he had to film in. He had the closet at the very end. You see, that's actually my hand that's pulling the closet door open at the very end of the teaser trailer. And then we just kind of drove around town, and like I had some ideas on some other locations, and there was always this house I wanted to use for an exterior, and we used it. I asked the owner for their permission, and they were like, yeah, no problem. We just shooting some exterior shots of it, and worked out really, really, really well. It's just for what we had, I think we did an amazing job. Yeah, you're right. The lighting is really good in our.
It's bomb
I gotta say,
diggity.
I think
I'm like, yeah, when I was going through some of these shots, I was like, I don't even have to do anything to these things because I like to be able to give like nice pop to what's happening. And people over at Tingler Television, they have their own studio, and they will make this thing when it actually goes out on next Saturday. It's going to be very visually interesting, especially when you have shots like that. And I'm not sitting in the middle of them. So
it's all
we're
good.
gonna do a screen share, and we're gonna go over to watch. I would say make sure I hit all the buttons. I know, right?
Amy, what are you writing? did.
What if it's him? You don't know the lengths this guy will go to. He's in the house right now.
Amy.
Bomb diggity. Bomb diggity. The sound. The sound is crisp, clean, even, and purposefully driven. Why
awesome to know.
is it so important when you have a piece like that to make sure that every note hits right? Every sound, voice sound, every music sound, every hesitation. Why is it so important? And especially for psychological horror.
I think people underestimate how much their ears have the visuals, really. I mean, it's I know you think what you see is going to be the thing, but it really is the sound. And I know from experience that, you know, I've seen movies that looked fantastic, and then but the sound is terrible and it just takes you out. You can't watch it. You can't watch a movie that has terrible sound. And then I've been on the other side of that, going where the visuals are like, not so good, but the sound was phenomenal. And I'm driven to still watch that movie, you know. So people underestimate the sound. The sound is so important. All the sound that you hear in our teaser trailer, all of that was done in post. None of it was actually recorded on when we were shooting the trailer.
We talked a little bit earlier in the day about the sound from a regular camera and the sound that a specialist can bring to the audio. And I know that there are a lot of people that watch this show that are making film, but your sounds are not, they're missing, or they're skipping, or they're not as legible as they should be. Give us more content into how the sound was either boosted or improvised or added in post to make it so that it sounds like it's happening right then.
Well, I mean, it's tough to explain because there's so many elements that go into it. So obviously, if you have a budget, you want to hire a professional sound recordist. Do not use camera audio. I've never heard camera audio that was good enough. I've heard some cameras have better microphones built in than others, but for the most part, no. So for us, we knew we didn't have budget for a sound recordist because sound recordists are super expensive. They are. The cheapest one I could find here is like $500 a day. It wasn't in the budget. There was just no way. So I had to be creative and think of how I can do this without having a sound recordist and having all the dialogue and stuff done in post where I'm just getting voiceovers from the actors. So if you notice, you never see anybody's lips moving when there's dialogue going on, and that's one of the reasons why we just couldn't afford to have somebody. But
you did a fabulous way of being able to put that in there and keep the elements together. So we didn't miss the fact that we could not see the lips go.
I hope not.
At least I didn't. I mean, you know, I was like, okay, I'm into this. I wanted, what I was kind of like a little torqued off about is that I wanted it to be longer. I was like, give me a little bit more, because it was very short. but you did, you piqued my interest. You did all of the elements where I want to go and say, I want to watch this. I want to be able
Yeah.
to.
Well, that's good to know. Whenever you're doing sound design, another thing to be careful of is making sure you have, not too much sound or too little sound. A good example in our teaser trailer was that very long, drawn out shot that goes over the table, starts at that doll at the edge of at the bottom of the table and goes up. It's like 20-second long shot, and it was very easy to make that shot have too much sound or too little sound. Now, there's not a lot of sound, there's a little bit of music, but you got to be mindful of what could be in the background of shots like that. So you got to be thinking about what could be in the house. So I thought to myself, I bet there's a clock. I bet there's a clock somewhere in this house. So we're gonna put a clock sound in there, and I actually stole the clock sound from a song. I'm not going to tell you what song it is. Most people won't know it. It wasn't Time by Pink Floyd. I swear to God, it wasn't. But yeah, I stole it. I basically swiped it from that, and I changed the frequency on it a bit so that you couldn't quite tell it was the same clock.
But it's in the
but yeah, you do
background.
little
Very
things like that.
um,
Yeah.
films with Vincent Price had a lot of those kinds of elements where
Mm-hmm.
they were very subtle, but as you are getting engulfed in the experience of what the film is, you will notice. And then there are other parts where there looks like there should be some things in the scene, but they're missing. And they're missing
Yep.
on purpose. And then when you get to watch it again, you can watch it for these different things that maybe perhaps you missed. Without saying exactly what, if there is, are there Easter eggs in this?
Oh yeah. There's more in this there's more in that teaser than most people will realize. And I actually did a little bit of a chat about it on my YouTube channel. I do a live chat every once in a while. And we looked at the teaser, and I was like, "Ooh, what's in this shot that could be that could give you a little bit more about what's going on?" And there's definitely a few shots that have some subtle things that you're not going to pick up, unless you're really, really analyzing it. So if you're a very analytical person, you will really analyze it and pause each shot at a certain point and make sure you're seeing everything. But
when
like,
I was
there's nothing.
capturing some of these screenshots for this thing, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of really cool elements in this.
Yeah, nothing is random, I'll tell you that. There's you're probably okay, so you see there's some papers there.
No, there's some
Okay.
papers there.
This guy doesn't like papers. This the antagonist in our film does not like paper. Just know that. Why doesn't he like paper? What's on these papers? Have you tried to look at what's on these papers? A lot of different papers you see in this in this trailer, and each one is different. And there's a reason why each one has affected him.
It's not gonna let me. I'm destroying my set here.
No worries. It's all,
oh
see
my.
something happening there. It's all good.
I know, right? It's live. It's it's live right now. So that's the first time that actually happened. Let me see if I can get out of the way without destroying more of my set. I love the textures in this.
Yeah, me too.
I love the and I purposely captured this particular screenshot from it because I loved watching the papers kind of be just suspended, as this is
Yeah.
a very suspenseful psychological horror film. And I also I like the colors that are being used here.
Me too. I think Aaron did a great job on the coloring. And yeah, he was our colorist for this as well as camera guy. So
Because that's
yeah,
it's coloration is extremely important for any film, but especially for these types of films, because a lot of that textured colorization gives more insight into what is happening if you choose to delve into it that deep.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Imagine when we actually shoot this film, what we're going to do with certain things, because man, it is going to because you got to remember what we're doing here is we're diving into this person's mind. So you're going to be looking at it from a person's mind who's just lost everything, who's, essentially his life is over. Without, I mean, he's not dead, but he's, but he's kind of lost everything, and his world has become so dark, so you're going to be looking at it from that kind of a lens, so it'll be I really can't wait to see what the coloring is going to look like when we really get to that point, and try to create this world of darkness.
We talked a little bit earlier about using different color grades, same out of the same hue, and watching it develop and either get lighter or darker to be able to help move storyline. I would like to see something like that, but I love the colorization. And here's another pretty epic shot.
Yeah, well, that house is a character in itself. That's all I can say right there. That house is iconic. Yeah, I as soon as I saw that house, I knew I wanted to use it for this movie. One other great thing about this house is it already has these lights that are beaming up on it from the bottom that just illuminate it so well in the darkness. So it looks like we didn't have to bring any lights.
It looks like it has definitely a character of its own right that appears to have psychological trauma.
Most definitely.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Because some houses they have a lot of character, and other houses they kind of like they're it's a house, there's nothing really going on. But then there are others that look like if they could talk, and sometimes the walls do talk.
Sometimes they do. Yeah.
I enjoyed shots like this. Now I know this is a pan shot, but I enjoy shots like this. I enjoy the texture and the objects that are kind of like strewn, and it gets more involved if you go and watch the trailer again. You'll be able to see.
This was the most ambitious shot of the trailer. I mean, it was there's a lot of movement. It's not really it's not really a pan shot, actually. It's what would you call this shot? It's like an overhead type of shot, which starts as a frame up, starting from the low end. There's a lot of movement in this shot.
Yes,
this was a 20-second shot, and the fact that we were able to pull off a shot like this with no budget is something to be very, very proud of, for both, not just myself, but the camera crew that did it. Because originally in the shot list, just so you know, this shot list was just supposed to be the pictures that were on the table, just the pictures. And I said to myself, let's be more ambitious, And of course, they probably hated me at the time, because they looked at the shot list and said, well, this is just supposed to be, a little bit of a, I guess it would have been a pan in the trailer, on the shot list, it would have been a pan. But we expanded on it and had it resolved to the girl's hand at the end. I thought that's spooky.
Yeah.
And the way we pulled it off, it took the most takes. I'll say that. This took about, I want to say 9 or 10 takes to pull off correctly. And I believe this was the second last take that we actually used for the for the teaser. The last take wasn't quite as good as this one, so we used this one, and proud of it. Definitely proud of it. It was ambitious, but I was like, man, we need to do something ambitious for this. We need to do something that's going to really say, holy crap, they've got some camera skills, you know. And I think it adds to the suspense, right? You know,
Yeah, it
with
did.
all this whole shot going on, the pictures that we're seeing now, you know, going across that. Who is this young woman? Well, you can, if you could look at her pictures and you can see her in our cast, she's playing Amy. This is Amy. So, but you know, it was just I was happy we pulled off the shot as well as we did. There's a couple shots I kind of wish we pulled off a little bit differently, but this one I'm extremely proud of. And that's where it ends, that hand. All one shot, 20 seconds, I believe. It was 20 seconds to get from the doll to this hand. And yeah, I'm super proud of it. And that's
I love
that's Emily's hand.
depth of it. I mean, usually hands are just, you know, hands, but
Yeah.
Sometimes they're interesting things to look at where they draw you in and you start to fall down the rabbit hole that is unseen.
Exactly. I will say this so that people don't think I'm spoiling anything with this hand, because it is Emily's hand. Emily Macy's, who's playing Stacy. This is not her character's hand, though. Just saying that. It's not her character's hand. Even though it's her hand, it's not her character's hand. So we're not spoiling anything with that. But again, we only had one girl, one actress, one actor in the
way
entire
that this was
cast to play all
done,
these roles. So.
the way that this was done was absolutely epic. So
it's definitely, I would say this teaser trailer is probably the best accomplishment I've done on a no budget type of thing, you know, because I mean, we did promotional teasers for the Sawyer Massacre, but they all had we put money into each one. We had a little bit of money to put into all the teasers that we released for that, and you know, some of them were more expensive. We had to pay because we got one of the original cast members from Texas Chain Saw Massacre to do a voiceover. And that was $300 alone just for that voiceover for 4 words, you know. So, you know, just that there alone cost more than this teaser trailer did to make. So
it's not, you know, it's not cheap to make indie film. A lot of times people were like, well, you know, we're just going to go over, hey, we're going to go over to my buddy's house and we're going to, you know, set up some lights and we're going to play Filmmaker. Well, okay, you're going to make something.
That's not realistic. Yeah, you'll make something.
You'll make something.
And I wouldn't be surprised.
And I'm not saying don't make something.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you have the ability to make that something into something that has more quality, more sustainability, then do what you can to be able to do that, especially if that is your passion. If that is what you want to hang your name on and you want to go with and put it out there. Yeah.
I agree.
Do that
it's
thing.
Definitely. And you know, it's you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I get some people saying, well, Steve, you made your trailer for nothing. Why should we give you money to make this movie? If you can do that for nothing, why can't you make your whole film for nothing?
Let me get out, out of the hallway and have that conversation right now. And then after you do that, I'm going to replay that clip.
Exactly. I mean, if I totally rewrote the script so that it would have no characters in it, and you know, just one character, or even just one character, it's like eventually you got to pay these people, right? You know, they're not going to work every day for you for free. It's just not going to happen.
It's not realistic.
So I mean, you just got to be real. It's not realistic, you know. And and if they did work for free, they shouldn't be. That's just the fact. They shouldn't be working for free. Nothing should really be free. Even this this teaser trailer, nobody should have worked for free, but for the sake of, let's make a promotional teaser, and let's see if we can do something that that is going to get us a paying job in the future. They all believed in me. They all have worked with me in the past, and they were like, yeah, well, we'll do this one. You were successful with your last movie, so let's be successful with this one. And that was the terms we were able to come with. And I made sure everybody was fed. So you always make sure people are fed. At least do that. But beyond that, I mean, it was they were doing me a favor, and I would return the favor to them in the past, to them in the future, I should say.
Let's watch this thing again, because now that
Sure.
we have seen the
Amy. What are you writing? Oh, God. Look what you did.
What if it's him? You don't know the lengths this guy will go to. He's in the house right now.
Amy.
now. That is the way to do a trailer. Put the trailer out there, have conversation about what the film is and about a little bit about what they're going to see, then put the trailer out, then dissect the trailer, then play the trailer again. Gives a whole different perspective on that trailer. How long it took to put it together, what exactly went into it. And yeah, people are going to go, damn, that looks really good. So why do you need so much money to be able to finish off the Indiegogo? What else could you possibly accomplish? Because you already did this really cool thing. Why don't you just make more of that? Without
more trailers? It's like,
because it's not like that's not how it goes. It's not realistic to do that like that.
Exactly. And again, eventually people want to get paid. That's the way it is. And people deserve a certain rate. And we have a pretty large cast now. I mean, can sacrifices be made? Sure, sacrifices can be made. But don't aim for the sacrificed version. I've always told myself, don't aim for that sacrificed version of your movie. Aim for the high end. Aim for the stars. And if you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah, but at least you did something. But you know that you're in
exactly.
You're in the 10%. Do you understand about the 10%?
Oh yeah.
You started something. You're working on getting it into different creative aspects in finishing, and you're continuing to do the thing to be able to make it complete. Then,
exactly.
All right, let's say your film is done. Is the struggle over, or is it really just begun?
It's really just beginning. I mean, it's not done until, geez, is it ever really done? I don't know. There's so many ways you can look at that. You can say it's done once it's released and it's made $1 million, but then there's the demand for a sequel. So you got to make a sequel. You got to keep marketing. You got to keep
When did all right?
Gotta
So
raise more funds.
when did you
You know?
start? When did you actually start the marketing process? What
For
stage were you
this,
at?
I mean, as far as visually seeing the mark, I mean, there's the behind the scenes stuff, like making this teaser is technically part of the marketing for it, even though
Yes.
you didn't see it happen. It was being done, and you're already talking with your producers and stuff like that, and what the plan is to go forward. It's all part of marketing. Casting the movie is part of marketing. You know, you know, there's so many elements of it, and you don't know it at the time. But it took us about a month, I think, to get Felissa Rose attached to our cast. And I didn't say anything until she was attached to our cast, but it was still happening. There was still all the talks going on. I had a great conversation with Felissa herself, and she's a wonderful, wonderful person. Meeting Adam and Addison Ginsberg, Twitch Production. They were also executive producers on the Sawyer Massacre. They came out to our world premiere in Austin last year, and I met them in person, and I there was something about them that made me say I want to work with these guys in the future, and I'm very, very happy to be working with these guys on this film. So it's
What did they say to
you're
you
always
as
thinking ahead.
what was their why that they said yes to you? Can you divulge that, or do you know what their why was?
I don't know 100%. I think they saw something in me. I think they saw how well. I mean, they obviously saw how well we did with the Sawyer Massacre. It was it was it was pretty well done, I guess you would say. I mean, I'm obviously picky on the overall end product. I have my own criticisms on my own film, but overall, they liked the whole process. That I did. The whole everything that I did. As far as marketing and promoting and the Indiegogos for that, and the teaser trailers we were putting forward. I think that they saw that in me. They saw how hard I was working at it. And I think that's why they wanted to work with me, and it's why I want to work with them.
We talked a little bit earlier about your special effects.
Thomas Smith, I'm so excited to work with him in person. He lent us some of his set pieces for the Sawyer Massacre, and he's been a good friend of mine for at least a couple of years now, as we were both crowdfunding fan films at the same time. He was making Valentine Bluffs, and I was making Sawyer Massacre, and we were both crowdfunding at the same time. And we just chatted. We've hit it off, and it's like we have a huge respect for each other, and we both really enjoyed each other's films, and we just knew that I think both he and I knew that we wanted to work together in the future, and this I don't think this will be the last film that we work together. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff in the future,
Especially if it looks anything like what that teaser trailer does. Like, bloody hell, amazing.
No kidding, eh? There's my buddy Joe, my fellow Canadian, and my great graphic artist Joe Lawrence of More Sense Designs. Yeah, I met him. I believe I met him through Instagram when I was getting ready to start my second Indiegogo campaign for the Sawyer Massacre. Our first one didn't fare so well, and he said to me, "Yeah, your graphics need to be better," and they did, because I did them all myself on the very first Indiegogo campaign. Designed my own poster, and it was okay for what it was. I mean, I've seen worse, but at the same time, he was like, "I'm going to design you a poster," and he did, and he came up with this red beast back here that I have behind me. And then he and I hit it off, and he's designed a lot of stuff for me, and he's just really passionate about creating, and loves horror. He definitely loves horror.
You gotta love the you have to love the genre that you're working in.
I think so.
Or you have to have a passion for doing something and helping someone rise to another level, and then during that you learn why these people do what they do. And then you have a respect for what is happening. And then eventually you start to have, dare I say, a love for the genre or the thing that they're doing, because they have given of themselves so much that you start to have a better understanding of why they create the way they do.
Definitely.
It's all, it's a full circle kind of thing.
For sure. For sure.
Very much. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? I want to pop this back up here again. All right. If you've got one of these, you use the back of it, in camera section, and point it toward that thing with your QR code reader and hit the button. If you like what you've been hearing so far about this film, Unseen, and you got a couple of bucks in your pocket, head over there, hit that link, and or look at my page, Zombiepalooza Radio Live, or my other page, Jackie Chin Medium, and you will see these codes there. Do yourself a favor and help out, because it's going to be a great freaking film.
I think so. I think it'll be an amazing film.
Absolutely.
Especially if you want to return to like some old school style slasher, psychological, Halloween, Black Christmas, that kind of feeling types of movies.
Give yourself the ability to be able to enjoy something that kind of like takes your brain out of some of the stuff that's happening in real life. And I call a lot of these films brain candy, because that's really what they are. And they give a little tingle to your brain, and you can leave your situation for a bit and just have a fun roller coaster ride. Now, this one behind us, you've been talking about this film. We haven't shown anything about the film, and I want to do that now to make sure that people get a bird's eye view.
More of Joe's work there. That was the thumbnail for the Sawyer Massacre that he made.
Give us a little bit of knowledge base on who was part of this film and the kinds of things that people have said about it. And I'm pretty sure this is in a film festival.
It's been accepted to a couple different film festivals. Yeah.
So and how it was responded to.
Sure. Man, back in 2019, I was thinking I was going to start working on Unseen, actually, and I was ready to start gearing up for that film, and then I got I saw a YouTube video of this guy talking about the new Texas Chain Saw Massacre that's coming out. And I had left a comment on his video stating that, hey, I wrote a Texas Chain Saw Massacre script a while back, and he was like, I want to read it. I didn't think too much of it at the time, but then this person encouraged me to go back to this Texas Chain Saw Massacre idea and really work on it. And it's funny how after that things just started kind of falling in place for this movie. I was friends with John Dugan on Facebook, and I connected with him. I asked him if he would want to do a voiceover for our teaser, and he was like, sure, I'll do it. And I'm like, okay. And I was location scouting for a friend of mine who was looking for something specific, and I stumbled across a house that was very creepy and very felt very much like what I wanted for the Sawyer Massacre. And I started thinking, maybe I should really make this movie. So I took a gamble, I guess you would say. I'm not much of a gambler. We shot a promotional trailer here in Canada. It was all shot in Canada until we did our second promotional trailer, and cast a bunch of people I didn't know. But I wanted to make sure I could cast the right Leatherface and the right female lead for this trailer, and they were the only two that we cast in Canada that came with us to Texas, by the way, and did phenomenal jobs. Then we made this promotional trailer. I ran my first Indiegogo campaign, I believe, in at the end of August of 2020. It did pretty modest. I think we raised about 3,500 US in that. Fairly modest, not enough to shoot the movie in Texas. But after that, I prepared for another campaign. Did better the second campaign. Didn't quite hit our goal, but we did a lot better. And did a third campaign. We did hit our goal, and everybody was the supporters were pretty adamant that they wanted us to film in Texas. So I said, okay, we've raised enough now. I think we can make that happen. And had I not marketed this the Sawyer Massacre as we want to shoot this movie in Texas, I don't know if we would have raised the kind of money that we did, because when everything has come in now throughout all the Indiegogo campaigns, it's over 50,000, which I never would have expected for me, a nobody filmmaker from Western Canada, from Kelowna, Canada. Anybody ever actually heard of Kelowna, Canada before? Probably not. But I was just a creative guy that just had this idea, and I thought, man, it'd be so cool if we could raise enough to film this in Texas. It turned out to be a genius marketing idea, I guess, to say that, because at the time, I guess, because they were shooting the new Texas Chain Saw Massacre film in Bulgaria. And there's a lot of fans that were not happy about that. A lot of Texas Chain Saw Massacre fans did not like that. So the fact that I was saying I'm going to shoot the movie in Texas, I think it drew a lot of attention to us. And we shot the movie in Texas. That's all I can say. We shot it in Texas. It is the first ever feature-length Texas Chain Saw Massacre film ever made, and it was shot in Texas, and it's a prequel, an unofficial prequel to the original. It takes place in 1965, right when the Vietnam War was hitting hard with the US, and I wanted to really kind of touch on a lot of those aspects in a subtle way in the film. But it's been received pretty well for the most part. A lot of positive reviews. The ratings that I've seen on IMDb and the reviews I've seen, the written reviews are way higher than I would have thought, for a movie made on a very, very low budget. It's been a surprise, we'll say that, but I'm certainly glad I did it now. I'm certainly glad I did it. I probably wouldn't have the opportunity to do this film had the Sawyer Massacre not done what it did.
All right. Oh my, how many? I think I got it. All right. I found it, the trailer. And so I'm going to play the trailer for this.
Sure.
Here we are, boys. My uncle's cabin.
Not bad, Brant. What about AC, though?
How do you think he's doing?
Jimmy really needs this weekend, man.
So, Jimmy, what's this soul searching you're doing?
That's something personal happened to me a few months back.
Jimmy, I'm so sorry.
We had ourselves a little setback.
Just leave me out of it.
Do you have any food here?
You guys are hungry, huh?
What do you sell in your store?
You're gonna have to go see my grandpa.
Where is he?
He's not far. He's got everything you need.
Girls, stay close.
This is the place.
Is this somebody's too? Adeline, put that down.
Brant, is that you?
This is my house. your strength, okay? I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, Allie.
Hey!
There you go.
My goodness. Well done. Now
Thank
I
you.
know why these people are like, I got to work with dude. and then you are so humble. That is super cool, because after doing something like what I just watched, you could be like, hey, yep, I'm the dude. I'm the guy. Everybody loves me. And you're not. You're like, you're so genuine in your desire to create good film that you're pliable, you have a good personality, you have good direction, and you're smart enough to know when your skill ends and someone else begins.
I think that's important. I mean, I think you need to be humble to a point, because there's always somebody better than you. That's a fact. There's always going to be somebody. Even Steven Spielberg would say something like that.
Yes.
You can never be thinking you're good enough. If you think you're good enough, then well.
And then the other part of
then
it
that's
is
all you'll
just
be
because
then.
just because you made a really great piece doesn't mean you can do it again. Do you ever have
Exactly.
that feeling of, oh, what the heck did I get myself into? Can I do it again?
I don't know if I'll ever quite get that feeling again like I had before shooting Sawyer Massacre, because man, that was scary. Canadian guy traveling to Texas, never been to Texas before.
Texas is a whole nother animal. It is like being in a completely different universe, not even on the same planet. And that had to be mind-blowing for you.
Oh, it was. It was definitely scary. It was probably the scariest feeling leaving for Texas, thinking, boy, we're shooting a movie in 6 days here, and I'm going to Texas, and I haven't even been to any of the locations, and that was kind of frightening for me. It's but we had great people down there. There's too many people to thank. Really, there's really, because it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for a lot of the people we worked with down there.
So who was
Chris
hosting
Parchini,
you? Did you have a host family?
Yeah.
For you
Yeah,
to stay?
well, not a host lady. That the production manager Chris Parchini actually hooked us up with, and her name is Christine Alverson. So shout out to Christine Alverson for putting up with like 10 people in your house. Maybe more, I'm not even sure. 10 people in her house housing us, because we didn't have an extra 15 grand to pay for hotels. Obviously,
it's expensive.
We didn't have that in the budget. It's pretty much what it would have cost. 3 weeks. You do the math. 3 weeks of 10 people is going to be about 15 grand. So it was. You have no idea how much that meant to us. That meant so much that she put us up. She was patient with us. I'm sure we were pretty rowdy at sometimes for her, but at least, well, I wasn't, because I'm old.
Did you shoot there too? Did you shoot? Is that the house you shot at, or were you?
No, we did.
There.
We shot a little bit of that film on her property, but it was never a main location. It was like a hub for the cast and crew, because
you need a place to be able to go to kind of.
It was in a good spot between all the locations that we did have to film at. It was not a bad distance from all the different locations we had to film at. So I think that was what was really good about it. Yeah. So I mean that's it couldn't have worked out better.
Do you have any other?
And
shout-outs?
It was really close to where the original was shot.
Do you have any other shout-outs that you?
Other shout-outs? shout out to my wife for putting up with me for 10 years doing all this film stuff, but she was the one that encouraged me to do it all. Without her encouragement, I wouldn't be making films. I'd probably still be doing music, and I love doing music, but this film journey has been quite the experience, and
Does she have a
I
name?
wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for her. Her name is Rayma.
Very
Rayma.
lovely.
Yeah.
And we know that there were other people that you would like to mention as well.
Too many to name, I think.
I
Who else am
know.
I know?
Long list. I
There's
saw
long-
it. It's a very long
there is.
list.
You saw my list? I know there's just the whole cast and crew. Again, it would take too long to name everybody. Our DP on the Sawyer Massacre, Charlie Brady. It's our sound guy on the Sawyer Massacre. The whole sound team, period. So Ben Marchie Hilton, who was our sound recordist, Kyle Hames, who did post sound design. Denali Parcini was our boom op. Oh man, amazing people that just all came together to make this film happen. It would not have happened. It would have fallen apart if the entire team wasn't together. Christina Hinton, our production designer, I got to mention her, our production designer, who was also the second AC, doubling as that and doubling as scripty, and she
A lot of
people
times
wore multiple hats.
Yeah, they have to, because
They have to.
there is not enough money in a budget to be able to pay for each individual person that would need to
Definitely
be
not.
on something like this. And so there are many times that people will wear multiple hats, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of long nights, long days for shooting. And you still have a lot more to go on this film. We talked about background artists, and we talked about a couple of other things that are still not in process yet, or are in process and haven't been put with the other parts of this film. So give a bit of information about that while I get out of the way again.
Well, if you're interested in being a part of our film, like as a crew member, if you want to be a background actor, one thing we are doing for our executive producers, so if you get one of our executive producer perks on the campaign, you get an invite to be one of our background actors in the film as well. I know not everybody can travel to Canada for that, but if you were interested in becoming one of our executive producers, we have background roles that all EPs are invited to take part in. And if anybody wants to contact me to be a part of our crew, or even possibly be a part of our cast, you can contact me at steven.merlo@gmail.com. And yes, we'll be happy to talk, so we can fill those roles, all those different roles we need filled for this movie.
When would you like to see this in the can, so to speak?
Oh man, I'm one of those people that always tries to say I'd like to see it in the can now, but I'm a realist, and I know that that's probably not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and I would like to see the whole movie in the can, finished filming, and possibly post-production more or less done by like early next year, but if it takes longer, it takes longer. It's I'm not the kind of person that's going to rush.
You're not going to get it. You're not
takes...
going to just do it to have it done. You're going to do it right.
Yeah, I want to have the right film made, and I think if you rush it, the right film's not going to be made. I mean, the Sawyer Massacre was originally scheduled to shoot in September of 2021, and we could not shoot in September. We weren't ready.
Yeah, there are a few things going on, right? Yeah,
COVID played a part. However, regardless of COVID, I knew we weren't ready. We just weren't ready. We didn't have all the locations. I didn't have key people on my team. We still ended up shooting without certain people that we really could have used. But I know that if I had tried to shoot it in September of that year, that it probably wouldn't have been finished. I believe that it wouldn't have gotten finished. So I made a smart decision to push it back, and nobody complained about it. Everybody was okay. We had totally understand. And
Yeah.
that's the way it happens in filmmaking. You don't rush into something you're not ready for. It's going to take time, and people got to be patient. And some of your supporters won't be patient, maybe, but I haven't really experienced that yet. Most of my supporters have been extremely patient, and we still released the film at a pretty timely manner. And post-production didn't take us very long, and I think we put out a pretty decent product when it came to the Sawyer Massacre, given the budget that we had. It'd be nice if somebody would just give me $1 million though, and
I know.
Dave, make the movie you want.
Help a dude out. Help a
Give
dude
me
out.
$1 million. Give me $1 million. Email me at steven.merlo@gmail.com if you want to give me $1 million too.
Right. Oh, and I get 10%. I find your
Yeah,
speed.
there you go. Find your speed.
Go ahead and read what is on the screen, since this is what Unseen in its underneath is about.
Mhm. Yeah, this is our log line. In the aftermath of an unknown disaster, a mentally unstable man attempts to satisfy his conscience while tormenting a woman with an abusive past. So we don't give a lot away in this. And I was very adamant that I only wanted to release a log line. I do have a bit of a plot summary written as well, but I haven't released that because I just don't want to give too much away. Because it's so easy. This is a movie that's easy to spoil. I think it's kind of an easy one to spoil if you say the wrong thing. So yeah, this doesn't spoil anything, which is good.
They've been working very hard to not do any spoilers or anything like that. So is there anything in this particular interview that you did not get opportunity to cover that you wanted to?
I think we covered it. We talked about the Indiegogo. Talked a good depth about the trailer. I don't know. I mean, it's we did talk about the fact that we made a short. That this started back in 2016, I think, when I got married and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't think we missed anything. That there's me. And that's actually, here's something we didn't talk about. That picture of me you see there was a picture of me at the Oregon Screen Festival, where the screenplay for this, the first draft, mind you, first draft screenplay for Unseen was a finalist for. We didn't win, but it was a finalist for that, and that was back in 2018, I believe.
That's super cool.
Yeah, 2018. I was really kind of trying to push this movie, trying to push Unseen. And I'll say this, I don't know if we'd be where we are with Unseen today if we hadn't done the Sawyer Massacre first. I think the Sawyer Massacre was my opportunity to make Unseen, it so to speak. It's I don't think I was ready to do Unseen at that time.
You put your footprint out with this first film, and people saw the vision and they liked it, and now they're willing to be able to go all in for this film Unseen. And I think it is going to be an absolutely fabulous ride once it gets finished. And when it does get finished, I want to know about it. And
you'll know.
I'm also interested in whether or not you are scouting for distribution, or if you have not thought that far ahead yet.
We've thought that far ahead, but we don't. I've talked with some distributors.
Good. Because and part of the reason why I asked you about that is because I want people to know, if you are going to be making films, there is a lot of different steps that you need to think about in the process of getting the film out there into the public, even before it gets out into the public. There are certain things you need to do. And so I'm like really happy that you are already having that particular mindset for having it go that far. And once you do, and you find out where it's going to end up, I would love to bring you back. I would also at some point like to be able to do some of the cast or crew on
Awesome.
either one of these films when you're ready to do that, and hopefully they'll also say yes.
I hope so. I think they will.
So what did you think about your very first opportunity to be on Zombiepalooza Radio Live?
It's great. Thanks so much for having me. It's a lot of fun. I love talking movies, so
I know, me too. All right, so social media. Any
yes.
places where people can look you up or find stuff about your films?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Facebook. If you want to follow me, I'm Steve Merlo. You'll recognize my face. And if you want to join one of our film groups for Unseen, you'll look for Unseen Indie Horror Film on Facebook. On Instagram, we are _ unseen.movie. Always got to get that right. The underscore at the beginning. And YouTube, you're looking for Sequanda Films, just like you see on our logo there.
Very cool. All right, so this is Jackie Chin, and we have been talking with Steve Merlo and all things film and horror. Please check out his Indiegogo page and hit those links. Also, like, share, and subscribe to his YouTube page. And, we have a YouTube page too, Zombiepalooza Radio Live. We also have Facebook, Zombiepalooza Radio Live. We appreciate all of our fans. Also over at Tingler Television, we are going into our second season, and we are so excited to see what is going to be happening. We do have a new lineup, which is listed on tinglertelevision.com, and you'll be able to see what we've changed around. On our show usually was on Friday nights, but we have moved to prime time, so we're on Saturday night from 9 to 11 on Tingler Television, Roku. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Big shout out for all our fans, and thank you to Tingler Television for believing in Zombiepalooza Radio Live. We'll see you later.